Good to see everyone again. Hope everyone's been doing well. Everyone should have recording access already. Please let me know. If you don't, I can get that for you. Coach Rhule, would you like to go right into questions?
Sure.
All right, guys, just a reminder, please use the raise hand button if you have questions for Coach Rhule. With that said, I don't see any hands raised right now. So if someone wants to open us up for the first question, the floor is open.
Hey, Matt, I'll just start. Good to see you. Will Kunkel here with Fox 46. Your first kind of full off season with the team. How is it? It's extremely, I assume, different than last year.
I think the biggest thing is obviously having no combine, right off the bat. We're going to enter the pro day season. So in terms of free agents and things like that, everything's pretty much the same as it was last year because most of that's done, remote in-house. I think having no combine obviously will be the major story of the offseason, as everyone tries to get as much information on these players as possible. Doing the Senior Bowl, I say, would be another major difference. I think the Senior Bowl was a tremendous opportunity for us, a tremendous advantage for us to get some real face time with a bunch of the players. So other than that, we're kind of carrying on business as usual. At least now when I walk through the building, if I see a player, I know who they are. I don't have to introduce myself anymore. So there's a little bit more familiarity.
Let's go to David Newton for the next question. David, you need to unmute yourself.
I got you there. Unmute. Can you hear me now, Matt?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good to see you. Wanted to ask you, we hadn't talked to you since a lot of reports came out that you guys offered Teddy and some draft picks to Detroit for Matt Stafford, and there's some other rumors going around out there. Where do you stand with Teddy, and what have your conversations with him been like? I know he's unfollowed you guys on social media, so where are things there?
Well, I'd just say this first. I'd say that, this is the time of year where there's lots of rumors and speculation, and not all of it's true. I'm out in the community. People say things to me, ask me questions. I heard this team called you. I heard, and not all of it's true. Some of it about it can be true, but sometimes it's not true. So, Teddy is a tremendous professional, and Teddy's a tremendous person, and so. I think I can't speak for him. I think he's controlling what he can control, and he's having a great off season. I'm sure. I can't wait to get him back here, and I think he's determined to play his best football next year. As far as where he stands with us, I mean, he's our quarterback, and nothing's changed since the end of the off season. It's really not much to add from where we started. At the end of the year. We're going to continue to try to improve the roster at every position through free agency, through the draft, and also through development. We expect players to, play better this year than they played last year. We expect coaches to coach better this year than they did last year. And that's at every position. So, Teddy's, like I said, he's a true professional. He didn't unfollow me, I think he's just at I wouldn't read too much into anything, I think, he's in a moment right now where he's just kind of controlling what he can control. Focusing on himself, focusing on his family, and I know when he gets back here, he'll be ready to go.
Let's go to Josh Klein for the next question.
Hey, Matt, good to see you. Obviously, you guys offered put the franchise tag on Taylor Moton this week. How important is the offensive line in terms of your goals for both free agency and then the draft? And do you and Scott have a specific strategy in how you plan to fill out the offensive line in terms of splitting that between free agency and the draft?
Yeah, and I would just say the franchise tag, that's it, spending, $13.75 million. That's a major financial commitment by us in a year that's never happened before, where the salary cap went down. So that's how much we think about Taylor. I think Taylor Moton's a tremendous player and an even better person, and he's exactly the type of player I want to coach. So sometimes, you just kind of hear like, hey, throw the tag on him. It's a tremendous financial commitment we're making for 1 year. And hopefully Scott will work with them. Hopefully we can get a deal done and we can keep him here for a long time. But I just want to make sure I don't understate our commitment to him, in terms of wanting him to be here. That being said, we have a couple guys that are, due to hit free agency. We need to address the offensive line. I think when we have gone back and watched the tape our ability to run the football, our ability to close games out, and our ability to protect the quarterback has to be better this year. And so, we're going to address it in free agency. We've already addressed it with Taylor, and hopefully we can, get some, also address it in the draft. So it's a major point of emphasis for us, both depth wise and replacing anybody that leaves.
All right, let's go to Josh Graham for the next question, followed by Joe Person. Josh, I think your microphone's not working. Yeah, I'm sorry. Can't hear you. Joe, we'll go to you.
Hey, Matt, good to see you. In terms of quarterbacks, will you guys be at the pro days of the top quarterbacks? Will you continue to evaluate that position, which is something that Dave Tepper said, that indicated that you might, and will you look into these kind of other quarterbacks who may be available via trade?
I think we'll be at, different guys will be at different pro days. But I think, we'll because of where we're picking, we'll certainly check out quarterbacks in addition to other players as well. I think anybody that's, in the top 10 or 12, since we're picking 8th, I think we'll have a presence at their pro days. I think we'll have more of a presence this year at pro days than ever before because there is no combine. So, we had coaches out on the road yesterday. So yeah, we'll approach that, but really for every position, because this is sort of our one look at them. You're talking about drafting someone 8th who you've never met. I mean, that's never really been done before. And so we're going to try to get out as much as possible. And then, just at, like, at every position, I think we'll always look at every opportunity. I think one of the things that Scott said when we interviewed him is, we want to be in on every deal. And I think one of the advantages to that is, A, we're always getting information, and B, other teams look at us. They can't say, oh, that's what they're going to do, because we're always looking at everything. When someone hits the market, we're always going to talk to them. So I think we'll look at everything this year. And again, this is a unique year. None of us really know what the market's going to be right now. We're all entering something that hasn't happened before. I think even the most experienced of personnel people in the league are all just kind of waiting to see where everything goes. So I think we're going to just kind of take it day by day.
Let's go to Elena Gutsenberg for the next question.
Couple quick things. Matt, just following up on Joe's question, how will you kind of pick which days you personally attend?
I just sat down with the calendar. There's a maximum of 3 people that can go to any one by the NFL rules, and some places are saying, hey, only 1, only 2. So, just sort of picking, hey, who do I want to go see? Who do I want to meet? And so, and then some of the bigger ones where there's, a couple different prospects there makes it a little bit easier for me.
And then I was curious, have you spoken with Teddy personally? Because I know when we went right after the season ended, you had talked about how, he needed to have a great off season. So I was kind of curious how you're keeping up with that, or, what kind of communication you've had with him.
We're in a dead period right now where, I really can't talk football with anybody. So I'm observing those rules. And, I think one of the great things about having good veterans is, that they're going to go do the thing. At the end of the year, you kind of talk about, hey, this is how we see it. But yeah, no, I have talked with Teddy. A, he's someone I like talking to, and B, he, like I said, he's a true professional. So yeah, I have just talked to him just, in terms of this life type stuff. And he's been really good.
We'll go to Jonathan Alexander.
Hey, Matt, hope you're doing well. You all parted ways with Trey Boston this offseason. I was wondering, what was the determining factor in that decision, and how might you all make up for that position this offseason?
And that's not, we haven't done that yet. We haven't informed him that we're going to at the start of the league year. Trey was a tremendous leader this year. He was someone that I thought was integral to helping, play with a lot of young players and kind of teach them what it meant to be a pro. I just think this year in this off season, there's a lot of tough decisions that have to be made, and unfortunately that was one of them, and so this is the part of the job I don't like, him. I mean, there's no player that I have more respect for than he and KK, but we've had to make some tough decisions. And so really it's just a matter of us looking at the roster, looking at, where we are in terms of salary cap vision moving forward and having to make tough decisions.
How might y'all, or where might y'all look to kind of fill where he played?
Well, I think we like the young group that's in there. We think that they can develop. We still have Burris. I think we like, Miles Hartsfield, Sam Franklin. Kenny Robinson's the guy we drafted last year. We thought had a good year as the year went on, and Jeremy Chin gives us some flexibility as well, moving back to safety or staying at linebacker. So I think between that group, we think there's some young talent there that we're going to have to get the most out of.
Go to Brett Jensen, followed by Darren Gant.
Hey, Matt, I know this is probably one of the two least sexy positions on the team, that and the holder, but the fact that you guys were able to secure J.J. Jensen, the longest tenured Panther who's been here through 3 coaching staffs, how important was that to get it done? And also, one NFL coach said that this offseason was going to be, his direct quote was, a massacre for all the people and top veterans that are going to get let go because of the salary cap, and that it's a buyer's market. How active do you guys expect to be in the free agency aspect?
Well, first about JJ, I don't know if it's official yet. So, but I mean, we're expecting it to be official. And, to me, the best way I can say it is I never, ever say to myself, I never worry about the snap on a kick or a punt. He's just, tremendously dependable. So, he's also a great guy to have in the locker room. He's a great guy, to have in terms of, within the special teams units. And so we're excited that, he'll be back. We don't have a tremendous amount of cap space. I know when sometimes you look at like websites and things like that, and they'll say you have a certain amount, but when you're picking 8th, you're going to have a pretty big pool there, that you have to allot for the rookies. So, you take 10 million for your rookie, you take about 7 million to start the year for stuff that has to happen during the year. So we don't have a ton of money. So I think we have to be, especially with the decision to franchise Taylor, we have to be really targeted about what we're going to do. So, I've heard things said like, hey, it's going to be a massacre. I don't think we've seen that yet. I think this week, there's still a week, 10 days till the 17th, whatever it is. So I think we're all just going to have to monitor kind of, who becomes available. We're going to have to make tough decisions on our end, and then we're going to have to be really targeted in free agency to address areas. And as I said, really, if you look at our team, there's some areas we feel like we have to target via free agency or the draft.
Matt, going back to those conversations you said you had with Teddy, is there a little bit of psychology to that where you're almost counseling because it's such an awkward situation with all the stuff that's out there in the news?
No, I'm not, it's just honesty. And I mean, Teddy's a professional football player. He knows the business just like all of our guys are. I mean, I think everyone understands the business and the business aspect of it. I want to coach. I don't want to be involved too much in the business aspect of it. No, I mean, Teddy's a true professional. There's not one part of me that feels like I have to talk to him in any way about stuff like that.
All right, let's go to Steve Reed, followed by Steve in Toronto.
Hey, Matt, two-part question. First of all, how much does the reduction in the salary cap, does it change your strategy this offseason? I know you guys have been probably obviously preparing for a reduction in the cap, and secondly, do you feel like there is any chance at all that you guys would be able to get Curtis Samuel re-signed given the salary cap restraint?
We've been preparing for this, but I think, even going back to last off season, decisions you've made like the last 2 off seasons as you set some of these contracts. I think everyone across the league did it thinking the salary cap would be 210 this year, 205, 210, something like that. So reduction from last year, but it's also a reduction for how you were planning. So, again, that's what's making people make really tough decisions. But we have known for a while, so we've had to plan accordingly. And then with regards to Curtis, I think we'll have to see how that plays out. I mean, he's a tremendous player, and he's another guy. I think if you were to go back and listen to all the things I've said about him, I love Curtis, so I'd love to have him here. We'll see how it plays out.
Coach, compared to some of your other skill positions, you guys didn't get a lot statistically out of the tight end position in 2020. Can you update where you guys stand with your current players in Ian Thomas, Chris Manhertz, and Colin Thompson, and whether or not tight end is going to be a priority for you with free agency and the draft in April?
Chris, one thing I will say, we got a lot of production out of Chris, maybe not statistically, but we feel like he's one of the best blocking tight ends in the National Football League. We feel like his ability to block one-on-one in the run game and play action passing game allowed other people to have a lot of success. And so that's who he is. And he fills a tremendous role. Now he's a free agent. So we'll see how things go with Chris. Ian, he's under contract. I think Ian got better and better and better as the year goes on. I think, if we're able to have an off season, I think he will have tremendous growth heading into next year. I think Colin Thompson gave us a lot of versatility. Last year was able to kind of be a glue guy that did all the jobs, just really could fill in a lot of different roles for us. Yes, it's a position I think that we will look at in free agency and in the draft, especially with Chris being uncertain of what's going on with him. You go study the top tight ends, the top receiving tight ends in the National Football League, and guys who get taken in the first round, some of them work out, some don't. Some of the best tight ends are third round guys, fifth round guys. So it's something that you have to hit. You just have to find the right guy that fits you. So we like the group that we have, but we will obviously continue to look at them.
Go to Vincent Richardson, followed by Josh Klein.
Hey, Matt. With the release of Stephen Weatherly and KK, as well as FA still being unsigned at this point, you have quite a lot of flexibility in terms of what you can do with the defensive line. Is there, obviously, I understand that you sort of continue want to be versatile and multiple. Is there any expectation that you'll do anything vastly different in terms of 3-4 versus 4-3 compared to what you did last year?
I mean, last year, if you go back and look at it, I think we were 4 down to 3 down. There were some games where we were 50-50, I think we would probably, probably stay in that mold because of the versatility of a guy like Burns. So there's some guys that have left. There's some guys we have to address at that position through free agency and the draft. But I think we have some real building blocks in terms of a total scheme change. No, I think we'll continue to use Burns the way we did. We'll continue to use Derek Brown the way we did, and just look to supplement those guys.
Go ahead, Josh.
Matt, obviously with the 8th pick, quarterback is certainly somebody that's going to be in play. With Teddy already being on the roster, having a pretty big cap hit in general from a salary perspective, how would you picture, if in a hypothetical you guys did go with quarterback early, how would you picture Teddy handling that and then interacting with a young quarterback? I think he actually talked about a little bit at the end of last season, how he would do in that situation.
Yeah, it's hard for me to do hypotheticals. I try not to. I just try to deal with what's there. Again, I have, no matter what we to throw at Teddy, there's not a better guy on this team than Teddy Bridgewater. So I think I have no concerns about anything character-wise with him at all, one bit, with anything that happens. Like I said, to me, he's a guy that wants to play his best football next year, and he's training to do so. I think no matter what, there's, he won the award this year for, was it a sportsmanship award or that's how people think of him. And so there's not a better person in the locker room. There's not a better person to have on the team. I think most of the guys would say that. So, there's no concern there. No matter what's thrown at Teddy Bridgewater, he's going to take it on, just like he took on his knee injury. He's a quality person.
Let's go to David Newton and then Joe Person.
Yeah, Matt, you mentioned tight ends area you want to attack in free agency or look at in free agency and the draft. Any other specific areas that you can mention names that you feel like you're really going to have to address in free agency?
I mean this sincerely. I think we're a year out from a real big turnover. So I think there's we're trying to probably look a lot of different places, to be quite honest. I think, really, the offensive line, because we have a lot of guys that are free agents. And I think, looking at corner, I think those are two areas where, because we have some guys who are up, we have to really evaluate. We've evaluated our current guys and then looking at who else is out there on the market. But, we're going to look at linebacker, we're going to look at the D line, we're going to kind of look everywhere. So I think we're in a situation right now where we're not, just one player away. We're trying to do a really good job of continuing to build the nucleus of the team. Obviously the situation this year is a little hard with the cap, with our cap number. So again, that's why I think we have to be targeted. But, I think, as I said earlier, I think we will play better a lot of different positions if we can get off the field on third down, if we can, protect up front, run the ball better. I think there's some areas, offensive line, corner, et cetera, that are specific for us to address.
I want to follow we've asked you a lot of questions, obviously, about Teddy. In the college level where you had quarterback battles and all that, it was different than here in the pros. How tough is it to manage the egos in that area? And I'm not saying Teddy's got a big ego, but most quarterbacks do. So how tough is that to manage that, to make sure you don't lose a player, kind of like, the Texans apparently have lost Deshaun Watson?
I think every person is different. I think every player is different. I think the key thing is to be as honest as you can, with everything that's happening. And, there's not really any guys on this team that I worry about those types of things about. I think we have high character guys, high quality guys on this roster. So I think just, we've tried to just be honest with guys, be straight up with guys. And I think for most guys have appreciated it.
Matt, with Trey Boston moving on, will that mean Jeremy Chin moves to safety?
Just what I said before, I think it gives us that flexibility. I think we think of Jeremy as sort of like a chess piece, a guy you can move around, so he was more of a linebacker that would go back and play safety that last year. I think as we get through this offseason, we'll decide, is he a safety that can move up or is he a linebacker that can move back, but he is someone that he's the type of player we think, hey, you want to build around. So we'll see what happens to us in free agency in the draft and then just kind of put him in the right position once April comes around.
And then you mentioned the cap restraints. Relatively, though, or looking across the league, you guys are in pretty good shape. Given that there'll be a lot of tough decisions across the league, do you think that you guys could end up, I don't want to say like bargain basement guys, but be in play for some guys that in a normal year you might not?
I don't know. I think we're just kind of looking at ourselves as opposed to, as opposed to everyone else. I mean, we've had some guys have helped us out. We've had a couple, Christian and Shaq, just restructured their contracts to give us a little more flexibility. We don't have a ton of money, but we have, some that at least, that we're able to go out and look at the right positions. But again, I think we're of the belief that you build through the draft and we want to just, supplement in free agency. And so, we're going to need some veteran guys at some positions to come in and, provide experience. So we're just, working through that process right now. So hopefully we can make some really good decisions. And then hopefully as we move forward, the cap will go up and, we can sort of plan for where we're headed.
Guys, got time for three more. So let's go to Bridget Condon, followed by Jonathan Alexander, finish with Elena Getzenberg.
Hey, Coach, I just wanted to see if you had spoken with Christian this offseason and what those conversations have been like. Obviously, his name was thrown around, in some of these potential trades with high-profile players. That there wasn't a lot that, was factual in those. But do you have any fear that he would not return to his old form? And is that something you would consider possibly, trading him in potential for one of these high-profile quarterbacks?
Christian's our, he's our tailback and he's our, he's one of the fundamental pieces of this team. He's a guy that we're building around and we're committed to. So I expect him, after last year, I expect him to have a great year this year. That's how I feel about him in terms of talking with him. Again, observing the rules and all that, but I've seen him in the building. talk to him just about life. He's been really upbeat and excited about this off season. So, nothing beyond that. I think, he knows, and I know that this is a time of year for rumors, right? For things to be said. When you're a great player, people are going to talk about you. Other teams are going to wish they had you, but he's a Panther, and we're lucky to have him.
Matt, you just kind of broke news a few minutes ago about the Christian and Shaq Thompson.
I know.
Can you say how much y'all saved and I'm sorry. Yeah. And when did that happen as well? Was that today?
I think that was I think maybe Christian was like yesterday, and then Shaq was today. So I'll let Scott get in. I think you guys are talking to Scott later. Let Scott handle if he's going to talk about numbers or anything. I'll kind of keep myself away from that stuff. But both those guys, they did it in a way that allowed us to free up some money. So it'd be good for us. We're grateful for that.
Go ahead, Elena.
Thanks, Preston. Matt, I was curious, now that you've had a couple months working with Scott, just how that's going so far, and have there been any hurdles to get over, just how it's been going so far?
I think it's been great. The whole goal for me was always to have somebody here that was, just a football guy, not an ego guy, but a football guy. Scott's definitely a football guy. So, he brings a lot of knowledge of players in the league. I would say that we have a very involved, hardworking coaching staff when it comes to personnel. And I think our scouting department has done a great job, at least pro free agency. I think Pat Stewart, Matt Allen, Rob Hanrahan, Luke Kuechly, those guys have done a great job of bringing lists forward to us of free agents. I think our coaches have done a great job. So I think we're working really well together. And, so I think it's going really well with Scott. I think, obviously bringing Steve Drummond over to the football side was a game changer for us. And so I really like what's being set up.
I was curious, just like in relation to that, when you think back about like a year ago when you were working with Marty, how much has kind of your role, like, are you doing more? Are you more involved in stuff than you were last year, or is it about the same?
The same. As you know, I had a great relationship with Marty. If I ever have a long drive, I still call him, just to check in on, see what he's up to. It's just a different, Scott has a different meeting, maybe structure, but, I think the way we have it set up is really good, where the coaches look at players and talk about how we would use them. The personnel guys evaluate the players and their traits, so it's a great kind of marriage. But the biggest difference is last year at this time when we opened the board up, there was like 2 D linemen under contract, so it was a scary board when you looked at it, just because so many guys were leaving. I think we really hit in the draft last year on some guys. And so I think we're way more stabilized. And it's just, it's this, that we did a good job last year. Marty did a good job of kind of getting us to this point. Now we've got to have another really great offseason personnel wise, and really in the 3 areas. And I want to make sure I don't understate it. Like, we have to be great in free agency. We have to be great in the draft, but we also have to be great player development. Some of our young guys have to step up. Our veterans have to play their best football, so that's the type of offseason. And hopefully we have a true offseason so we can help with that, as opposed to last year where guys were in their homes. So hopefully we'll have a great offseason and we can hit on all 3 areas. And I think player development, it starts with the players, and hopefully we can assist.
All right, guys, that's going to do it. Coach, we really appreciate the time.
Thanks, guys.